We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin.
And today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from Silk City Hot Sauce, it is Turnip the Heat. So the turnip has a blue ribbon. And the butternut squash is going to squash them. Oh wait, what's this one say? I bring the heat. Oh, that must be the peppers. Whoa, this is kind of a wild label. So gill feather turnip, the Vermont state vegetable. This is the best hot sauce with gill feather turnip I have ever had. Probably the best with butternut squash I've ever had, that's a little bit of a cheat, of course, because those don't appear, to my knowledge, anywhere else other than these. So we start with roasted butternut squash, gill feather turnips, hot peppers, maple syrup, white vinegar, and salt. And so this is looking like a jalapeno. There's probably, if I'm hitting my guess, maybe like a green habanero or something in here as well. I dislike this, just generally saying hot peppers. I don't think that's cool. I don't appreciate that. I really wish sauce companies would not be doing that. Just say what peppers they are, you know. But no, we're going to play Cloak and Dagger, I guess. 2022 Dutton Farm exclusive. Dutton Farm, I believe, is close to them. So I think one of the interesting things about these guys, so both Silk City and Angry Goat, two of what I think are the most creative and inventive sauce companies out there, both out of Vermont. So I don't often think about Vermont, but I will say that that is kind of an interesting observation, I think. You know, just that is how that's shaken out. So we have this color, which is I guess kind of a tannish light brown sort of color. And let's take a look. We'll be able to see it better here, I imagine. Very smooth sauce. So it's wild with the white vinegar in there. There are still elements that really remind me of... I had to double check it 2 or 3 times to make sure it wasn't apple cider vinegar, because some of those aspects are kind of showing up here in the sauce, which it could be the gill feather turnip. I am not familiar with turnips. I don't use them a lot. In fact, I can't tell you the last time I've had one. Butternut squash I'm more familiar with, but turnips is not a thing I really run across very often. Yeah, sort of very, very light brownish color. I like the color of this. I think it's pretty. And of course, we can see little bits and pieces in there. So we might as well just get to the getting. It's a very interesting sauce in that the impression I'm getting is very vegetably, as you would expect. The roasted butternut squash, roasting it gives a nice bit of sweetness. You can come through with that maple. There's enough heat here that I'm pretty sure there's probably at least habanero in this. I'm not familiar with the gill pepper turnips, but there's a certain earthy quality to this that I think is probably from those. Root vegetables tend to sort of have that aspect to them. I've noticed. It's very, very interesting. It reminds me a little bit of almost like a vegetable puree, I guess, in a lot of ways, and it's probably not super far away from that. So it just definitely, I think, if not the most unique, certainly in the running for one of the more unique sauces I've ever had. And I think that's so cool that somebody out there is using just these sort of esoteric and kind of out there ingredients. Like that's why, past 2 or 3 years, I've had an annual buy. Usually it's around Black Friday, but I'll have an annual buy. This is the last actually from the 2023 annual buy. Last sauce I have from Silk City, but I'll do an annual buy from Silk City just to see what the new stuff is and try to do more coverage. So if you go to the blog, and there's a link to the written review of this available down in the description below. If you go to the blog, you can see I've done quite a few of the Silk City sauces, and that's one that I will go out of my way to check into, just because that's not every single one of those sauces is a hit for me. And I'm not sure I would say this one is either, but that sort of spirit of experimentation and inventiveness really speaks to me. So we've got a plate of vegetables here, and I'm not going to name everything out right this second. I just kind of wanted to show you so butternut squash right here. We've got Brussels sprouts. I couldn't find turnips. I couldn't find zucchini. I wanted to have those too. I wanted to have sweet potatoes. Couldn't find those either. This is a medley of carrots, peppers, and broccoli. I wanted to have carrots. This is some red skin potatoes. This is a cauliflower broccoli medley. So when I was thinking about what I really wanted to do here with these, actually, you know what? Let's go through the actual products first. So most of these are from Bird's Eye. There is one here from Green Giant as well. Let's see that one first. So the Green Giant is this vegetable medley. The carrots, the peppers, and the broccoli. Next is what we got here? This is the Brussels sprouts. So these bags are after they've been microwaved. The idea is that you can microwave it in the bag, like this foil thing in there, and that's how you're supposed to be able to roast it. I wanted to show you the close-up so you can get an idea of just how roasted these actually are, which is not very. So here is the Brussels sprouts. We also have from them the red potatoes, the broccoli and cauliflower, and last but not least, the butternut squash. The only ingredient that's actually in here that I could find in this, but I think these will be kind of interesting to check out. So I did sample these beforehand. So I think probably the best of the roasters is the butternut squash. Potatoes are okay. I've made better roasted potatoes myself. I got lazy. Maybe someday I'll make, I do roasted sweet potatoes and sometimes butternut squash and potatoes and just all kinds of different stuff in the air fryer where I come up with a blend and I coat it in the blend with dry ingredients and then olive oil, and then it comes out to perfection. Maybe someday I'll make that. I did not feel like doing that. Instead, I thought it'd be a lot more fun to microwave packages one at a time for about 25 minutes prior to filming this. Third is probably the Brussels sprouts. The cauliflower and broccoli is just kind of okay. And this vegetable medley, I actually don't think is very good. It's not bad. It's just, there's nothing special about it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to coat everything. And it's not, that's one nice thing about this sauce is that to me it spoke I don't think it goes great on meat, honestly. It's okay. But I think this is kind of where I think it's going to perform a lot better. Just because I said I was saying it's more of a vegetable puree. Well, you know what? If there's this really cool sauce out there that sort of inspires us to eat more veggies, that's probably not the worst thing in the world that could ever happen to us, all right? So let's start with the butternut squash.
Oh man, that's good.
This is a sauce I find, I guess, kind of more intriguing and interesting that I do good, which is not to say it's bad, but it is just such a novelty to me that I get distracted by that. I think the flavor is okay for me. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just kind of okay. It's quite good. And I think you could have a lot of fun playing with this as a basting sauce on certainly a butternut squash. Try the cauliflower next.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I'll do a little broccoli while I'm trying to decide about the cauliflower. Broccoli, I don't think I like this. So we have another cruciferous here with the Brussels sprouts. A lot of people don't like Brussels sprouts, I've discovered, which is kind of odd to me. If you like cabbage, to me, you should probably like Brussels sprouts because they're basically mini cabbages. Cauliflower, I feel, is, it's certainly getting a lot of attention, but to me, it's pretty overrated. Yeah. So it's quite good on the butternut squash. Not as much with this cauliflower. Let's try potatoes. I used to work with this guy, a good friend of mine, that would spend, he spent some time regaling me with his feelings that potato was the most flexible vegetable because you could do so much with it. And by which he meant in terms of finished product. Here, it's actually pretty nice. Yeah, I'm actually getting kind of an interesting build out of this. That's interesting. Potatoes are good. So the potatoes and the squash are both pretty good. Let's go back to the cruciferous here with the so sort of woefully inadequate Brussels sprouts. So this clashes with cruciferous vegetables a lot. Wow, that is borderline unpleasant. Interesting. So we have a squash. Potatoes work, and I am interested to see what carrots are going to do here. Carrots, turnips, parsnips are all, to me, somewhat similar. I don't think it works with cruciferous vegetables at all. I don't like that. Okay, so we have also, there's sweet peppers in here as well. We're going to go with carrots now.
Oh.
I want to have, so there was a flavoring on this, some sort of garlic something. And I don't think it's working with it. We're going to try just peppers and carrots. Okay, carrots are good with it. Let's try just peppers. There's little bits of cauliflower or broccoli in here. I don't want that. I already know it doesn't work with cruciferous vegetables. I don't want to have any more of those. Okay, I'm going to try to just get, this is just red and yellow peppers. That's good. So, things that are similar to the ingredients seem to do pretty well here. And by that, I mean the butternut squash. I'm pretty sure that if I would have had sweet potatoes, that'd be fine as well. The potatoes, which I feel are similar, at least texturally, to the squash. The carrots. If I had parsnips here, I would imagine those would probably be fine. All right, let's get rid of these cruciferous here.
Oh, man.
It's really surprising to me how little, how much that clashes. It's amazing. It is slightly better on the on these Brussels sprouts. On the cauliflower and the broccoli, both, it's bad. It's not at all good. Look at these veggies I'm getting in, man. Carrots, I liked it less than on these other two, the butternut squash and the potatoes. Potatoes are easy, though. To echo what I was saying about what my buddy said earlier, I put you out there, dollars to donuts. There is any sauce you have, I bet you will find some version of potatoes that will go with it. Maybe not all of them, but I bet you'd be able to find a version of potatoes that would be good with pretty much every hot sauce out there, as long as the hot sauce itself is good tasting. This one is. It's not bad. It just I think part of it just throws me into the frame of like vegetable puree. And I think that part, that sort of framing that I get whenever it's an immediate too when I taste it. I think that sort of framing is just what puts me in that mindset. But certainly on meat, I like other products a lot better than this. But this, I'm gonna continue playing around with the bottle here. I think, squash gets used sometimes in mac and cheese, for instance. It might be interesting to throw that in mac and cheese and see what that does. But you know what? If I have to eat the rest of the bottle just eating vegetables with it, I'm totally okay with that. I probably need to get more vegetables in anyway as it shakes out. So if this if this inspires a little brief uptick in healthy eating, all to the good. If you're like me and you really celebrate the inspired creativity of the hot sauce makers out there, I think you really have to have Silk City on your radar. He comes up with some just brilliant stuff. And even when it doesn't always hit, it's still pretty fascinating to just kind of contemplate, the creation of it. But what can I say? Silk City has been in at least 2 battles for Sauce of the Year. So certainly there is some excellent stuff coming out of the lab there in Vermont. And, I said that both about, it's not a coincidence that both Silk City and Angry Goat are two of my favorite companies just because I love that part. My entire life, I've been a food adventurer. And just the approach from both of those two companies speaks directly to that part of me so strongly there's not a way I could ignore it even if I want to. And I wouldn't want to because I love that. That's part of the fun of things for me. Is to have new experiences, new culinary delights, Live life to the full. And that's I think part of it. For me anyway. So as for this, yeah, definitely this is a sauce that there's nothing out there quite like this. Obviously the gill feather turnip, which I literally had not heard of prior to getting the sauce. So it's maybe famous just in Vermont. I don't know anything about it. But roasted butternut squash is outstanding. That's a good thing to eat. That's just a good thing. And I like what he's come up with here. I find this more favorable than not. But it's not a thing that like I said, it's just more okay-ish for me, I guess, ultimately in terms of flavor and whether I enjoy eating it. I do really appreciate the novelty. And this one actually has some pretty respectable punch to it. A surprising amount, actually. So in terms of heat, it's actually, for me, pretty satisfying. But yeah, it's you can see, I'm well past halfway. I'm still trying to come to terms with this sauce. And I like sauces like that, that kind of get you thinking about them and you're like, okay, how would this do here? How would this, just on different types of applications. And that's a pretty cool thing about doing all this business. So definite tip of the hat to Jeff over there at Silk City. And if you're not familiar with Silk City and you really want to have a sauce that there is not anything like it out there, definitely Turn Up the Heat is a good one to look at. And he's got a lot of other really strong entries out there as well. So if you're not familiar, do yourself a favor and get familiar, especially if you're a chili head who values flavor and inventiveness and creativity in your hot sauces highly. And I will just leave it there. So there it is, the Silk City Turn Up the Heat hot sauce. Number 4. In peace to serve the flame.